Mirror, mirror on the wall, which is the sharpest of them all? So really sorry about that corny intro, but in this video, I'm going to try to find out which is the sharpest of these three f1.8 premium Olympus lenses. If you've been following my channel, you probably realise that I've got the three f1.8 premium lenses, and that's not by design. It's because my 1240, which I absolutely love, got broken, and I ended up buying a 17mm lens just to keep me going, and I ended up then buying the 45mm lens as a portrait lens, and I bought the 25 as a lens in the middle, really, just to make up the three lenses. And in the time I've had these three lenses, I've raved about the sharpness of the 45mm, and I think the 45mm is a really, really sharp lens. However, I do wonder, is the 45mm sharper because it's tightly cropped in and you focus your eye on a tight crop of the part of the image, or is it actually sharper? So what I'm going to try to do in this video is test all three of these lenses and try to actually determine if the 45 is really sharper, or if they're all pretty much the same and it's just an optical illusion when it comes to focal length that makes the 45 sharper. I've come out to Gainsborough Old Hall with a view of doing this test, and I'm going to look for a composition, look for a picture that I can use to test these lenses. Now, I'm going to do two things, and I'm not really sure if either of them are scientific or either of them are a good way of testing, but what I think I'm going to do is find a composition and take the same shot with three different lenses from the same position. I'm not really sure if that's going to give me the best chance to test to see which one's the sharpest, because obviously the 45mm is going to be a very much more cropped in image than the 17, and I think that it's going to be difficult for us to determine which image is the best. And then what I'll also try to do is find a picture and actually move the camera so I get exactly the same view or the same picture with each three of the lenses, so you see the same shot. I don't know how well I'm going to be able to do that. It's going to be a bit an interesting challenge for me. And what I have noticed around Gainsborough Old Hall, it looks like they're doing a bit of a dig, so I might not have access to the whole building, but that will be something I'll have to check. Let's go and find a composition from this building. I have seen a few things and videos online that compare the three lenses, but I haven't really seen any that actually compare the sharpness between those lenses, and I thought it'd be quite a nice thing for us to have a look at to see, you know, how the sharpness compares. That's kind of what I'm trying to do. I've had a walk around the Old Hall and I've decided that I'll take a picture on this side where the sun's not shining on the building, really to try to keep the light pretty much level, because if the sun's on and off and on and off, because it's quite a cloudy day and sunny day, then I'll get different light. And I've decided to go for the black and white lines on, or the brown and white lines on the wood, to give me a bit of contrast. So I'm going to start with the 45mm lens, and then I'm going to work through the three lenses I've got. I've got the 45mm on the camera and I'm perched underneath a walnut tree, and these walnut husks are dropping off quite a lot. Hopefully they don't drop on me. And I've got the camera set up. I've got 1/40 of a second, f4. I'm going for f4 because I think, for me at least, I think that's the sweet spot of these lenses. It might be f2, but I like using f4 of these lenses, so that's what I'm going for. And I'm hopefully going to get the contrast of these oak beams, these oak paneling, and the white, because I think that'll give me a nice contrast. So I'm just going to focus right in the middle of the picture, and actually what I will do, as always, I'll put this 2-second timer on, and so that I don't jerk the camera. And let's go with that. ISO 200, I'm going to keep this standard. Here comes the first one. And then in this instance, I'm just going to switch lenses and take three pictures exactly the same from this position. That was the 45mm. I'm going to switch to the 25 and then take that shot. Two-second timer, and there's the next one, and then I'll do the other one, and as I said, we can have a look at those later. As you can probably see, the difference in field of view from the 45 to the 17 is massive. So we've got all this, the whole of this walnut tree in, or at least the top of the caliper, the leaves. And I'm just going to make it a little bit slower because the 25 is a bit quicker. That's it, F4, all the same. It's 2-second timer, and they're my 3 shots. And now I will go and find a composition to move in the tripod and get closer instead of the same position. I've come out to the front of what is currently the current front of the building. It's super windy, so I'm having to hold all these cameras still. Whoa! In fact, maybe I'm not going to do this. So I tried to go around the front of the building, but it was far too windy and my cameras were blowing all over. So I've come back round the back and I'm going to try and take a picture of this and move the camera as I'm doing it. I tried to keep this square as my picture. So I've gone for the 2-second timer. I'm on about 1/80th of a second, F4 again. I'm going to take that shot right in the middle, and I'll try to hold you steady, and then I'm going to move the camera forward and try to keep that in the center of my shot with the 25mm lens. So here's the 25mm. I've tried to replicate the view the same as I can. Got this bit of grass at the bottom and this thing at the top. I'll only know when I've got them processed back home. So I'm going to take this picture. This is slightly quicker, 1/100th of a second, and there you go. The light changes a little bit, but not too much. You're wobbling again. And here I am all lined up with a 17mm. I'm saying exactly the same settings as the 25mm, 100's f4 base ISO. So I'm going to give that a shot. And there is going to be my 3 pictures. Not particularly interesting, but they're 3 test shots. So that's my 3 images taken. So now I'm going to go back home and let's have a look at them on my computer and we can decide which is the sharpest. I'm back home now and I'm going to have a look on my computer to determine which lens came out the best. If any lenses came out the best, that's the whole idea of this test. So let's have a look on the computer at the images. Here I am looking at the images in my library on Lightroom, and the first images I'll look at are these first 3 I took where I didn't move the camera, but I just changed the lenses and you get a different perspective or a different view. And when I've looked at these first 2, what I've realized is that you can't really compare them because they're, you can't blow them up to get them side by side. They are the same image. The 45mm slightly lighter than the 25, but we can have a look if I zoom into about 100%. What I'd noticed straight away though is the 25 is soft. So I don't know whether that was my photography skill or maybe the camera shook or something happened, or my focus wasn't right. But the 45mm shot just wasn't sharp at all. It's very soft compared to the 25. So I suppose if we want to do a comparison, we can see that from this view at least that the 25 looks sharper, but I think that's more the fact that my skill wasn't up to it. So yeah, I've decided that it's probably not a good idea to compare these 3, which I didn't think it was going to be in the first place anyway. But what we can compare are the ones where I actually changed perspective. I moved the camera closer so that I could get the same image. So I'm going to look at the 45mm, which is this one on the left, and the 25mm, which is the one on the right. We can have a look. And once again, I think on this actually, in immediate, I think, is that 25mm slightly sharper? We can have a look at maybe a look at this brickwork. The 45 is a little bit lighter. I'll be honest, I think, and I didn't see this earlier when I looked, that potentially there's more definition on the 25. Once again, I don't know why that is, but I was thinking it was the other way around, but now I'm looking at this again. I think, yeah, definitely that 25mm lens does look slightly sharper than the 45, which surprised me really because I was expecting it the other way around. That's interesting. So if I have a look at, if I click on the 45 and the 17, let's have a look at 45 and 17 and take that one off. and then do a comparison with these two. So this one is the 17mm and this one is the 45. So in this instance, the 45 is on the right, which is slightly confusing. But let's try and find a portion that's going to be similar that we can look at. So these two are quite similar areas. In fact, I did see a nice piece earlier that gave us a good indication of what we can look up here. That's what I saw. So yeah, these lines in this in this white wash here are really interesting. So my view immediately, I think the one on the left, which is just turns out to be the 17mm, looks slightly sharper than the 45, which really surprises me, because I was thinking that the 45mm is the sharpest. That's what I set out to decide, because a 45mm always looks sharper to me when I'm taking the photos, and obviously in this instance I don't think it does. I'm just to go back to here again. So yeah, I definitely think there's more definition this in the 17mm lens than the 25. That's a 45. So that surprised me a little bit. Okay, so let's have a look then. The 25 compared to the 17. Let's see what they look like, X and Y. So the left-hand side image, that's the 25, and the right-hand side's the 17. So in this image, what do you think? It's really difficult. They're so close. There's really not much in it, if I'm honest. If I have to pick one, I would say that 25mm is slightly sharper than the 17. And let's try and find, in fact, let's go back up to here to see if that gives us a good idea of it. It's just so, there's so little in it that, is that sharper than that? It's really difficult to say, isn't it? Who's to say? I think it's too close to call. Maybe this, now I'm looking at this again, maybe that 17 is sharper. Maybe not though, maybe that's too, there's nothing in it. Okay, well that's where we are. So that's my verdict, that's my view on these three lenses. Obviously the first the first try was comparing the lenses at just from a standard position without moving the camera, and that's obviously too difficult to judge because the focal length's too different. And then this second test is where I actually move the camera closer. So you would expect the same field of view, the same image to give you a comparable result. And I think personally that I don't think there's any difference. There's no massive difference. I'm struggling to see a difference between the three lenses. So that tells us that the lenses are very similar sharpness. And I kind of expected that. And I kind of thought that the reason that we were getting I had in my head that the 45 is so much sharper was because of how closely cropped it is and how much you see of the image. However, I think that now I've looked at these three, done my own little tests. I know it's not the best test in the world because it's not really the best photo to do tests on, but it is a test. So my very unscientific test of these three lenses, I'm going to say they're pretty much all as sharp as each other. I hope that's what you think, and you agree with me, or if you might have a different view. Well, let me know what you think. But that's my conclusion after all. Now's the time to subscribe to the channel. I hope this video has been interesting to you, and if it has, why not give it a thumbs up and give it a like? That'd be fantastic. And if you haven't subscribed, now's the time to do it now. It'd be fantastic if you would, and help out massively. Once again, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheerio.